Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack. This belongs to you. And the VBC is reunited once again on a Monday night. Sorry, we're not ladies, but we're going to do our best to represent women's wrestling tonight. And who are we? So I'm the V in the VBC, the vet Jamie Williams. With me, as always, my tag team partner, Brandon, as I reach through and give him the hot tag through the magic of the internet, and he's going to come in and clean house. Brandon, what's going on?
Not much. It's like, this has been a crazy week with all this wrestling. And we're keeping it going.
Yeah, no time for love, Dr. Jones. We're gonna keep rolling. Keep rolling around on the mat, keep wrestling, and we're doing it all for the people here in the sea, the chat, the lovely audience. Who do we have with us joining us as we are just getting started? I know there will be more, but here are some now.
See, we got Javi Uchi, we got G-Ball, we got Liz, we got Lab Rat, we got the four horses riding tonight, pal.
Four horse humans? Four horse centaurs? Did you ever see that show Centaur World? I'm just randomly throwing that out there.
I didn't know there's a show about centaurs.
It's kind of a show about centaurs. It's an animated series on Netflix that a friend of mine wants me to watch for some reason, and I'm like, I watch one episode and I'm like, yeah. But who knows? It might be up some people's alley, especially if you like centaurs. So, just throwing that out there as a recommendation if you're looking for something besides wrestling to watch. Four Indie Hartwells. Yes, Lambert, that's right. We are four Indie Hartwells. Oh my God, we're gonna talk about Indie Hartwell. So, yeah, as you said, Brandon, and I would say you understated it, and I don't think it's possible to overstate it. You know, we have definitely been on, and I'm talking about we, I mean you and I specifically, have been on, especially since you've been doing watch-alongs on a regular basis. We've been on the receiving end of the cliche, when it rains, it pours, when it comes to wrestling, where, you know, there'll be nothing for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they dump everything on one weekend, right? So this could be like the ultimate answer to that. And there's some interesting reasons and psychology, quote unquote, behind it. But as I was watching the almost necessary bonus episode of the Stevie Richards Show covering All In and Saturday Night's Main Event, and Stevie and James were adding up the math hours of wrestling going from, you know, Wednesday all the way through to Evolution. I think they came up with something like, I mean, they didn't settle on a figure, but just from me listening to them, I'm going to put it at, there was a full calendar day of wrestling to watch this week. Like if you sat down, you would have to do 24 hours to watch everything. If you needed to watch everything, which you don't, because some of that was including, you know, pre-shows, post-shows, you know, but you're talking about like if you just want to watch the core wrestling matches and product and fast forward or skip everything else, you're talking about 2 full work shifts that you would have to pull, you know, with, and you'd have to take a short lunch, you know, on each of those. That's a bit much. And before I kick it over to you, I would like to point out that another thing that they talked about, which I'm glad they talked about, because it's something like I was definitely going to talk about, is just the idea of, especially having to watch, because I had to watch a Great American Bash so I could talk about it because it's NXT related, right? So I'm sitting there watching NXT. I'm watching the fucking Great American Bash, and I'm looking at them in this, like I swear, like I've had in my life, the different places I've lived, I've had bedrooms bigger than the place they held the Great American Bash in. And they only did this show just to fuck with AEW. It had nothing to do with anything they wanted to do. There was no reason for this. None of this needed to happen. It was all bullshit. I'm watching the show. It's all bullshit. There's no people there. It's just something hastily thrown together. And which is weird because they had plenty of time to plan a big event if they really wanted to counter program, because All In's been being talked about for a year. They knew they were going to do this show in Texas for a year. So WWE had a full year to get their shit together and book a real building and book a real card if they wanted to go up against it. But no, they still went for like a half-ass effort just to fuck with everybody. The same kind of practices that they'd been doing for ever since original like Royal Rumble, since all that stuff. Like once again, if you guys feel like watching more wrestling related content, I can't recommend Stevie and James and their show enough. But they go over that stuff too, but yeah, man. So this didn't need to happen. It didn't help anybody. All it does is at best, it could make fans feel like they're missing out because they don't get to watch everything. At best. At worst, it makes everybody angry. So, and you may say, I'll never watch some of this stuff again. So anyway, all that laid out, everything. So I just want to hear your experience, because you were, actively watching and participating in some of this. And then everything that, as a fan from Business Sense, just talk to me about all this stuff and how your weekend went.
Between work and then going right into this, and just especially that marathon that was All In, it was exhausting. But one thing that I did take away from this was it felt like the talent and everybody involved and everybody performing from top to bottom, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, they kind of realized that they needed to stand out and be noticed. And I think they busted their ass to at least do their best to do that.
Well, that's one thing you can always count on, is that the boys and girls aren't going to phone it in, right?
Yeah. And for me personally, it felt like AEW kind of had a fire lit under their ass, because it feels like they truly feel like they're under attack, like they're fighting for their lives now, with like these efforts that WWE's putting up to counter program them.
Yeah, I think so. So with all this mess out here, what were some highlights for you? Because that's the whole point, like trying to create something memorable when there's just all this slop just plastered all over the week, all over the calendar. You got all these matches, all these people, everybody trying to stand out. Who stood out to you? Who succeeded this? What are the memorable moments from this weekend and this week?
The number one for me would probably be the main event of All In, because that was kind of very similar to Cody at WrestleMania 40, him and Roman, where you had like a lot of these loose ends tied up in storyline callbacks and Easter eggs. Especially with Swerve eventually being the one to clear the way for Hangman to go over Moxley, and plus he did it with the chain hanging him, and Moxley tapped out. Plus return of Darby Allin with the Mount Everest references, Bryan Danielson getting his revenge on the people who tried to take him out, especially when he showed up when Wheeler Yuta was going to use the bag to smother Hangman.
So you feel that it was a worthy payoff to everything that we...
Yep, and All In as a whole felt more like a season finale. We closed tied up a lot of loose ends on a lot of stories, ended a lot of chapters, moving on to some new stories, new chapters.
Well, All In's one thing I can't really speak to, because I literally could not watch it in time for, the wreckage. there was not enough time the in existence for me to fit all that in with my schedule. So I couldn't even fit the one match I wanted to watch in, which was, of course, the Okada and Omega match. I watched like about 80% of it before I had to go live. I couldn't even finish the match. So, I can't, I had to rely on Rick and Jimmy to, catch me up, which I also enjoy. Like, I take that as a form of content. If I miss out on something, I can, let them have the sort of floor to review that portion. And, if they had, and I can ask them questions as somebody that didn't see it. Like I could say, whoa, did they do this? Did they do this? Or how do you think it went? Or things like that. So I enjoy not being able to see some things like that. I can turn that into a different kind of content. But of all the things this week, I just wasn't really able to watch All In. And I certainly wasn't going to watch that garbage main event that they had. And I don't mean in terms of you're talking about it in a positive light. I'm just talking about it in terms of the way we call those type matches where it's like a Texas death match. First of all, I know you called it a Texas death match because it's in Texas. And I also know that AEW has no idea what a Texas death match is, because not only do they not ever contest a Texas death match under actual Texas death match traditional rules, but you can't tap out in a Texas death match. So that finish, by that naming anyway, if we want to change the definitions of matches, or if you want to name it something else, then that's fine. But just so everybody knows, if you were going to do a Texas death match, Jon Moxley would have to tap out, and then he would have to have 10 seconds to answer the bell after tapping out. But that's beside the point. So it's good to know that a lot of people were praising AEW's efforts for All In over the weekend. I always want everyone to succeed, because if they're succeeding, that means that have a better chance of enjoying what I'm watching at the very least. So selfishly, I want everybody to succeed. And AEW struggles in, they're like an entire company built on hot shotting. So if they can do anything that's like positive or something to set up the future, then I think that's a good thing. My only thing is, regardless of what actually happened in the match, because if you listen to the wreckage, you would have heard me cut the most scathing promo on AEW that I think I ever have. I think I've been very nice to AEW, and a lot of times that I've talked about them. Certainly not harsh on the same ways that most other people are, where they're constantly making personal attacks on Tony Khan, just trashing wrestlers for no reason, saying, just hating AEW in general. But they put on one of the worst endings to a wrestling show I've ever seen in my life on Wednesday. And I let them have it. So if you didn't check out the wreckage and you like when I get hot and cut promos, then you may want to go check that one out. But yeah, as far as everything else, big important show for them because it's a domestic show. They did stadiums, for All In Wembley a couple of times, and they couldn't do it this year because Coldplay already booked it. So now, they had to bounce out, but I guess they're going to go back for 2026. And now we're looking at Will Ospreay. Now I found some interesting booking choices that they had done, or I found some booking that they'd done interesting. For example, they had the EVP match with Will and Swerve, where the stipulation was it was EVP titles versus Will Ospreay and Swerve not getting to challenge for the world title for a full calendar year. I thought, what a weird stipulation that makes absolutely no sense, unless that's the reason why Will Ospreay has to wait until All In 2026 to win the title in Wembley Stadium, right? Like, then it would make sense to wait a year, because that would explain like why isn't he going for the world title for a year? Well, because he can't. So that way, when they go back to England, he can win it in front of his hometown people. Like, yeah, it's dumb and obvious, but that's what I'm thinking as far as like the way they're thinking or what they want to do for Will Ospreay, if they want to crown him as the guy. They didn't do that. They just beat the Young Bucks. So really, we get nothing out of that in terms of them being EVPs, because that doesn't actually affect our lives anyway. So the Young Bucks not being EVPs doesn't matter to us. So it does nothing for their story. So I was like, huh, okay, well, that's interesting. And having Hangman beat Jon Moxley, like, that would, if Will Ospreay were the guy to finally beat Jon Moxley, yes, that would mean Jon Moxley would have to be champion for another year, but that would be another year of it meaning that much more that he's the guy to finally do it. Hangman's already been the champion, so him being champion itself means nothing, or next to nothing. But they just really love Hangman over there. Like, he's their one guy. So, like, I get it. I get why they would want to do it. But in terms of the long term, what they could do, or, how they could build anticipation going forward for their future shows and big shows, they kind of deflated everything that they had in front of them beforehand. Did you feel that way? Or having watched the way it all played out, do you think that doesn't matter as much as I'm making it out to matter?
I mean, there's a little bit of deflation there, but I think it still kind of felt just kind of treading water until we got there, like maintenance, as Dutch would say.
Okay. So, well, I guess I guess time will tell on that. As Cody Rhodes would say, what do you want to talk about? There's a lot of stuff we could talk about. There's not really much news that isn't related to stuff that just actually happened in wrestling, as far as like title changes or whatever. The only real thing that everybody's kind of debating about is Seth Rollins' fucking knee again. So we can talk about that, but if there's anything else that has popped up that's pertinent, irrelevant that anybody wants to talk about before we get to Seth Rollins' damn knee, we can. We don't have a Chris Winland question, not yet. I don't. I guess Adam Cole's something to talk about too. I don't really. Yeah, we could talk about that together with Seth. So. Anything else? Anything else noteworthy? Anything else newsworthy? Anything else talkworthy?
I will say, I think Gunther really came into his own as somebody who can definitely carry and make a match look good, no matter who he's in the ring with.
Was that a surprise to you?
Well, I mean, considering who he was in there with and how long he was in there with him, I think he kind of had a bit of a challenge to overcome.
Yeah, as anybody would. You say, well, you use the phrase "came into his own," like he's been in his own for years. He was in his own before WWE signed him, so like that wasn't a surprise to me. But I could see where anybody would worry about the prospect of this particular opponent, though.
I wrong choice, which I should have said next level. Like, to me, this took going through to the next level.
Yeah, he's top 5. He's top 5 in the world. Easy. Has been for a long time. And, Goldberg did his best. Goldberg could have been even better, but, like, you can't... Can you imagine, like, it's a weird thing because with Goldberg, it's like the more you see him, the less it means. Like even back when even back when he was in WCW in his prime, you know, setting the template for Chris Sabin and everything. Um, like back then, a lot of the matches were really short, but there was one like on every show pretty much so that they could get that record up, get that streak up, get that momentum up and everything like that. There were a couple longer ones here and there, like with Saturn, Raven, you know, there was some people that gave him a little bit of something, but for the most part, they were just like flash spear jackhammer stuff. And it needed to be that. The only problem with that was you're robbing Goldberg of the repetitions he needs, you know, to be a well-rounded performer. Now, you don't always need to use every tool in your toolbox, but it's nice. It really does help for those moments when you have to go a little longer to make you feel and look more natural, right? So Goldberg at this stage, like a lot of times it looks like he can barely walk, and I always make the joke of like it looks like he's gonna fall over on his way to the ring, just walking, you know, and it's like a over under, is he gonna fall or how many times? But you know, and the Undertaker found this out, when you're really just training for one big match like all year, like part of the year you're training for it and the rest of the year you're recovering from it, like it gets really hard. And you know this too, like as a wrestler, I'm sure you've had those times where you didn't wrestle for like an extra week or two, and then when you took a bump or hit the ropes or something, you're just like, ah, like it hurt more than normal because you're not in ring shape. You know, yeah. Ring shape isn't just the cardio, it's also the absorption of the impacts, right? Like if you're not bumping, the bumps hurt. If you're bumping constantly, it's like you just shake them off. Like your body calluses up. You've heard wrestlers talk about this. We know it from experience. You miss 1 week, it's a little different. You miss 2 weeks, it's a little more different. You miss a month, it really hurts. If you're taking months off just to train for one big match, everything hurts. So, you know, Goldberg having to do all that and then come in and have like a real match, you know, I got to give it to him. You know, I've given him plenty of shit in his career, but I'll give it to him for this. He still looked like shit as far as like everything he did look like shit, but it always has. So nothing's different there. At least this time, you know, he was able to not hurt himself or somebody else. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, he pretty much let Gunther do all the work and he just sold for him.
Yeah.
And he got his spots in, and that's what it needed to be.
Yep.
And I like that he made Gunther work for him to sell. Like he didn't just give it to him, he made him work for it. But when he did it, he sold.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I did happen to catch that match. I missed everything else on main event, so so you know, so that was good. And let's see. Labrad's talking about Mr. Iguana versus Santino in Mexico. I didn't see it. I saw that it happened. I didn't get to see it. Did you get to check that out?
I saw the fan cam footage of a spot during the match where Santino went for the Cobra on Mr. Iguana, but the Iguana took it instead. And like both Mr. Iguana and Santino sell it like, oh shit, oh shit. And from the fan cam, you can hear kids like legit crying.
Awesome.
That's when wrestling is. That's when the magic is great. When you have people believing in it to that degree.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say when you make a little kid cry. That's the best. That's the magic of wrestling. We all get in it so that kids will cry.
I mean, if that happens to be the emotion you elicited at that time, well, you know, you did your job, right?
No, all the time. I mean, when I got into wrestling, I said I can't wait to tear a fan sign up. You know, like I can't wait to say no to a selfie. Like I can't, like I was just thinking of all the ways that could ruin some kid's day. But yeah, so yeah, I'll have to see if I can find that. But so that happened, and I guess okay. So a couple other things happened. So at All In, weirdly, and I would not have done this at all. I'm not talking about Adam Cole. I'm talking about Tony. I would, and I'm not talking about Tony Storm. I'm talking about Con Tony. I would not, right in the middle of my biggest show, had a guy go out there and give a tearful speech acting like he may never wrestle again. Because I don't want to do that to everybody in that room and then put on the rest of the show. That's fucked up. Like, I just heard a man get real out here, so enjoy the rest of the fake matches. No. Give this man his time. Tell him, like, unfortunately, we're not able to, whatever. Have Adam Cole, like, he could come out there and I don't know what. Like, he could present somebody with a championship belt that wins, but and just let the commentators tell you, or let the announcer just say something quick, like Adam Cole is not able to compete tonight, so here's your bonus match or whatever. Save the speech for a different time.
Yeah, you could easily do like a lower third of, he'll explain on Dynamite.
Yeah, something, anything. You can even have him come out. Like, I would just say, like, just real. Come out, get your whole boom thing in, Bebe thing in, do all that. Have him have the title, and present it, and like sit down at the side and whatever. Just something so that he can still get his entrance, whatever. But just like no tearful speech, please. I didn't watch the speech. Did you watch the speech? Do you remember how how that kind of went over at the time?
Yeah, it was, to your point, it did kind of bring down the show, because it's like, how are you supposed to follow something that's real and a guy is like pretty much announcing his career might be over? Like, how do you follow that? And it's like, okay, Dustin, Sammy, Danny, Kyle, get out there, follow that.
Yeah. The guy that, one of the guys that could potentially have hurt Adam Cole. So, we'll talk about that for a second. So as I was telling the guys, I watched Collision, and on Collision, Adam Cole was in a match and he won the match. So him winning the match with his finish and walking out under his own power, I didn't think anything of it. He wasn't hurt when I saw him. And then he comes back for All In and tells everybody he might have to never wrestle again, I guess. So I'm like, huh? And I didn't even remember seeing a spot in that match, but to be fair, I don't get to pay attention to all these matches as much as I want to. So again, thank you to Stevie Richards' show, Stevie and James doing a what went wrong or whatever on this spot. Now they were looking at a clothesline from this match that could have potentially been like at the very least an aggravating factor, if not the direct cause of whatever. So now Kyle Fletcher, I've been saying for years, Kyle Fletcher and his partner Mark Davis as Aussie Open, since I first saw those guys in New Japan, like Japanese New Japan, I saw these guys, and my first reaction to the first time I saw these guys in a match was, oh, I ain't getting in the ring with those motherfuckers. Now, granted, I'm not getting in the ring with anybody, but it's just that mindset that a worker or a former worker has when they watch matches backstage. This is how we talk to each other. Like, I ain't getting in there with fucking Kyle Fletcher. Like, that's how we would, like, if you and I were sitting in a locker room watching on the monitor, that's what we'd say about some of these talents. Oh, I ain't getting in the ring with fucking Goldberg. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we talk, and that's my reaction. And all these years later, I don't have a different reaction. It was Kyle Fletcher that almost fucking domed Adam Cole on the side of the ring doing that power bomb for no reason. And he's narrowly escaped with his life there. Now they're talking about this clothesline. And to be completely fair, in this piece of footage they were reviewing, I'm not sure that move had anything to do with Adam Cole getting hurt. Like, they went over it slow-mo, back and forth, like rewind, stop, pause, like everything on this move. And I'm just watching, and Kyle Fletcher sucks and he's dangerous, but the clothesline he threw was kind of just a clothesline. And Adam Cole took it how he took it. Yes, he threw the clothesline wrong, because you're supposed to lay the clothesline. You're not supposed to shoot clothesline somebody in the neck, right? Like, you're supposed to lay it across the chest.
Chest to chest. Yeah, basically a shoulder. What was I told? Shoulder tackle with your arm out.
Yep. And if you follow through after you've hit the shoulder tackle, it looks like you're actually clotheslining them, but they're already going down. So if you time it right, it looks like the clothesline is knocking them down. But in reality, they're just taking their bump and you're going past them. So, yeah, so Kyle Fletcher throws a high clothesline and Adam Cole bumps on it, and he tries to do like a flip, like the Rikishi flip, and he kind of does that, and he lands on his shoulder. I was looking to see if he hit his head on the mat when he landed or whatever, but at that point, that's out of Kyle Fletcher's hands. Kyle Fletcher threw the clothesline high. Yes. Adam Cole ran into it with his neck. Yes. But Kyle Fletcher just stopped the clothesline. He just held his arm out there. So there couldn't have been a follow through. There couldn't have been like, it couldn't have been like a real chance of like neck damage, I think. Not that way. It didn't look like it to me. Now, anything can happen. We all know that people get hurt off silly things. And people have gotten hurt off of more silly things than just a Kyle Fletcher clothesline. I'm just telling you that I'm not 100% convinced that it was just this clothesline that did anything. It could have been even a completely different bump. If Adam Cole just took a flat back bump and rocked himself enough that he got a concussion or something, that could have happened too. It might not have been as obvious as something like a clothesline. He did a Panama Sunrise in that match. Just executing a Panama Sunrise is going to send shockwaves through your body, right? Because you're flipping and landing on your ass. So that's going to shoot electricity all the way up your spine. Just you landing on it, you landing your own move is going to send a shockwave right up your spine. Could have been anything.
Dude, I knew a dude who basically had the same thing that happened to him that happened to Draws. He got super lucky. He almost died that night.
Yeah. So whatever happened to Adam Cole, I don't know. I guess it must have been on that. It could have been on that match, but because he was vague about what happened, I guess in his speech, which again, I didn't hear his speech. But I think he was being vague about it, so it could be anything. And if he can't do this anymore, then it's unfortunate to not go out on your own terms. But yeah, I don't. I'm not quite sure what. I'm not quite sure what was the cause or what happened, but that part. Adam Cole wouldn't miss an all-in show on his own. So someone must have told him no. It is the thing with that. So, any other words for Adam Cole?
I mean, just because this might be the end for him in the ring does not mean this is the end for him in the business. I'm sure Tony Khan will definitely find a spot for him.
Yes, definitely. Now, on the other hand, Seth freaking Rollins. So apparently, people cannot confirm whether this incident here is a work or not. So apparently on Saturday night's main event, they do a spot where he goes to hit like a swanton into a moonsault, just hit one move, jump up, hit another move on LA Knight. And LA Knight moves on the second part. So Seth Rollins lands on his feet, comes up lame, and they go into the finish. And then the trainers come in and check out Seth Rollins, and he gets helped to the back. So, did you see this when it happened, and what did you think at the time?
Yo, what's up, Logan James? Good to see you, pal. Whoop, whoop.
He's a fan of the Ladies Evolution.
When I initially saw it, I thought this was Seth kind of taking himself out of sight, out of mind to make you think he's not going to cash in later. That was my first thought because, again, this character's thinking is, well, I'm getting the belt later tonight. I can take an easy. I can throw a match to LA Knight. It's not a big deal.
Right.
But then once it started playing up later on and the way LA Knight was reacting, and it started seeming very odd, like this. Yeah, this does not make any sense. There's something actually happened. He probably blew his knee out again.
Well, I think there's enough stuff to point to in either case to make an argument as far as what I was able to ascertain. Again, I didn't watch the match. I didn't see the thing play out in its entirety. I saw the spot. Again, credit to Stevie Richards for going over this and looking at it. So Stevie seems to think, even though he's not 100% convinced, but he seems to think that after Seth Rollins does the swanton, the springboard swanton, that his knee buckles when he gets up to go do the moonsault. So there's a short buckle, short buckle. There's a short buckle of his knee as he's getting up that would be imperceptible if you're not looking for it. And then he does the moonsault, right? Seth does the moonsault, again, has to land on his feet because that's the spot. He lands on his feet, perfectly sticks the landing, and then immediately falls to the ground. Like immediately. And starts overselling like a wrestler. So right off the bat, like, I am like, bullshit. Reason why? Because wrestlers don't sell real injuries at first. Like, first of all, the adrenaline is so high, you don't even know what's happened. So, like, if his knee was really bad, like, it would have taken him trying to run and do something before he even knew that something happened. And if when you know that something happens, then you're in denial about it. So the fact of his immediacy was a huge red flag to me. And as far as the argument that's like, well, what would be the point of working this? Well, the absence of proof is not necessarily proof. So, like, just to argue that, like, as a, well, why would they do it? Well, it doesn't matter why. I don't know why, but there could be a reason. And in Seth's case, as you pointed out already, with the Money in the Bank briefcase, that's exactly a reason why you would make people think it's not coming. Because everybody can always see shit coming. And in this spoiler era and the rumors era and all this other stuff, everybody's like predicting and ruining finishes of things. So I could personally see them all taking it as a personal challenge to see if they can work everybody and get us talking about it exactly like we're doing now. Like, I wanted them seeing if they can do it. Can we pull it off the way it would really happen if somebody really got hurt. And what would everybody do in this situation? Right? So I could see that happening anyways. Like they could just do that because they felt like it, but also because of Seth Rollins' Money in the Bank thing, they also have a business reason why they can do it. So that's why they would do it. I don't know if that's why they did do it. I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know if he's not really hurt, or it's also possible, as Dave Meltzer was hemming and hawing about not being able to give away his sources and his information, and this is all I can say right now, all that stuff. If he had a pre-existing injury and he wanted to it, and he knew he was going to have to take time off, and he thought they could help LA Knight with a win, then you could, have the match, fake an injury, and then take care of whatever. He could have had a completely unrelated injury, like it could be like a shoulder or something, or whatever it could be, and he could just fake the knee injury because everybody knows the Seth Rollins' damn knee, right? It's become a joke. It's on the disco list, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's why you might do it. Of course, he could just be hurt, but I don't buy it. Like I don't buy that that's how it happened anyways. Like his sell was too over the top phony wrestling for me. But it was a better phony wrestling job than a lot of phony wrestlers. As Labrat said, I say it's not a work because would have Seth ever sold his knee? But, that's the thing. He thinks he's selling his knee because he'll do every springboard move in the world, but as long as he grabs his knee afterwards, it's okay. So, yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I'll say if it's a work, they did a good job at least making it look like a work, making it look as real as possible. And obviously there's going to be a few tells here or there if it is a work, but at least they put effort into making it the nuances and the intricacies.
Well, you don't even need to do that. I mean, the best way to do this, right, is nobody knows. You don't smarten up the other people. Don't smarten up the ref. Don't smarten up, the trainers. Just Triple H, Seth Rollins, and LA Knight. Be like, this is what's going to happen. At this point, Seth's going to do this. You hit your finish on him. Everybody will be confused. And that's it. So all Seth has to do is fake his injury, and then everybody thinks he's hurt. Because why are you going to question him in the moment? And that's how you make it look real. Like, don't overthink it. The wrestlers have been pulling the wool over people's eyes for over 100 years. That's their job. It's literally their job. Their job is to grift human beings. Just because we make it all glamorous and have, energy drink sponsorships and stuff doesn't mean that the mentality at the core of it is not the same. So yeah, when in doubt. This is my press X to doubt is my advice when it comes to wrestling. And if he ends up just really hurt, then you can be like, oh, I guess he was hurt. But at least you won't be fooled by having sympathy for a guy, and then just for him to like laugh at you with that laugh, Or to put it another way, I never hesitate to get this quote in when I can, but as the great Stephen A. Smith said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But until I'm wrong, then damn it, I'm right. So, all right. Well, let's wish Adam Cole and Seth Rollins all the best, no matter what. And with that, I think it's just about time to get into TNA Impact. And I think that, as always, there's a ketchup packet.
Unfortunately, Hanzo, they keep blowing through all my ketchup.
Jeez, man. Well, you got that air fryer has really ruined the bit.
I'm sorry.
You should just hide the packet and like show the other side and just say it's ketchup. You don't know how to work either. You keep exposing the business. uh yeah. All right. Well, hot sauce is pretty good too. It's like ketchup with spice. So we're gonna get some spice here. It's the Elegance brand versus the New Girls, Harley Hudson and Mila Grace. Now Harley Hudson just comes out, points her ass at the camera, and then points her finger at her own ass. So there's some spicy kick for you right off the bat. Um. So yeah, I kind of like, I like this new team. They get like I think they get a, don't they get a promo like in the box on the way to the ring?
I think so.
Yeah, they get their promo. Heavily written shit, but I'm sure if they had something more natural sounding, that they'd sound good saying it, even with their Irish accents or whatever it is. Pretty sure it's Irish or Scottish.
I think one's one and one's the other.
Okay then. So yeah, but I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I like, especially with Mila Grace. The gear looks like it could be main event gear. Evolution, the main event was Io versus Rhea, right? And those women had a look and gear like they belong in the main event of a big show, right? Look very expensive. Mila Grace's gear looks similar to Io's in a way, where she's got like all the straps and tassels and, you know, accoutrement. And so like that goes a long way. Harley's gear is a little more basic, but it's, it's themed. It's pink gear and she's got pink hair. So like she's got a look. It's a look and darker skin. So like the bright pink pops, like that color pops on her because she's a little more tan. So I like this. I like this look. It's like these girls look like, yeah, in TNA, we look kind of important. Anywhere else, we look like we fit in. So I like that, I like that look for them. And I don't think they're too bad of workers. Certainly not as bad as the Elegance people are, because every one of those three women is rotten. It's bad when, what's her name? Ash is the brains of the outfit. So anyway, yeah, they had a match and they did a spot where, basically M by Elegance went and grabbed Hudson's leg to get her from breaking up the pin after Ash hits a rarefied air. So Elegance goes over due to outside interference from the third man, so to speak. Any thoughts on the match or any of the ladies or anything at all?
Not really, other than what was this supposed to accomplish? Like, what did this really get over? What business did this forward?
You're right. Not
other
a damn
than
thing.
Other than making like this new team you're trying to get over look bad by going under to the champions, they've already gone under too. Or so like, why are you doing this again?
So if you were going to do an angle where you say the only reason you guys won is because you had two extra people on the outside, then you could go to something where, the concierge has to be in a shark cage or something, and, something like that. Like, if you want to do that, but I don't really think they did a good job of setting something like that up, because number one, you don't want to make your baby faces sound like crybabies, and crybaby faces. Has that term ever been coined before?
Never heard it.
All right. Well, history is made here. It's not just the women that can make history, guys. So you don't want them. You want them to sound like they're whiny, and then, also we've had, that's assuming that you want them to, kind of go over for the tag team champions, because they are still the champs, right?
Yes.
So you don't. So if you're gonna say that Mila and Harley, if you want to have them become the champions that quick, that would be the only reason to do it. Because if you wanted them to just lose fair and square, that makes them look even worse. To your point, so like, I don't think this was a good setup if that's where they want to go. If it's not where they want to go, then it's exactly what you said. What was the business here? The Hardys and the Rascals are with Gia and no music underneath. Yada yada yada. Wrestling promo from the Hardys, and then Zachary tells Myron Reed that he should really wear gear that matches his own gear. So there you go. Exciting. All right. Cedric is a six-man tag. Cedric, Alexander, and the Hands. I don't know if they're great, good. I don't know what they are. They were just introduced as Jason Hotch and John Schuyler. Versus
The Hands.
The Hands. Versus Ali's Secret Service. So Ali comes out with his goons, and then he turns around and leaves. And then we just get a six-man tag where it's these guys against faceless guys in dress clothes. Which of course they win. Cedric wins. And then Ali comes back and attacks everybody with a chair. And Tasha is like out there, and she's like seems to approve of what he did. Did I miss anything?
Oh, and then she also low blowed Cedric.
Ah, okay. I did miss that part. So she did low blow Cedric. Okay. However, didn't Ali hit the Hands with the chair?
I don't remember. I think he,
because he hit a lot of people with the chair. And I don't remember I don't think he hit his own guys I don't think he hit the service guys.
Let me pull it up real quick.
But anyway, yeah. So after she ball shot Cedric, he's looking at her like, what the hell was that all about? As she walks to the back, and he kind of follows her looking confused. Ali does. Ali follows Tasha as he looks confused. That's how to say that.
Okay, so he was actually just Ali going after Alexander. And in the middle of it, Tasha low blowed him. Or Alexander.
Okay. Okay. Well, there goes that loophole. So what are you thinking as you see this? Like, oh my God, Tasha punched Cedric Alexander.
Well, the way Ali was reacting to it, and the way he was starting to kind of like realize that Tasha was up to something, and she did what she did for a reason, made me wonder, did she set all of this up to try to like light a fire under the group's ass, and she's kind of playing a puppet mistress?
Wow, I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if we'll find out later if that's the case. But for right now, we're gonna get a tag team match, playa.
Holla,
Another women's tag team match. Zaya Brookside comes out, and then Lei Ying Lee and Masha Slamovich team up to take on two of Fatal Influence. And this match ends where Masha gives the snowplow to Fallon Henley. for a strong win, I guess.
While also establishing the snowplow, it can still finish somebody off, which I like.
Yes. Now, skipping ahead because I won't remember to talk about it, but Masha Slamovic's going to show up at the Great American Bash to, get involved in the match with the people and the stuff. It's going to peel. She's going to what is it? What does she do exactly? She peels off Jasmine Nix from the main event and beats her to the back. Well, actually, they fight to the back. It was Jasmine somehow going toe to toe with Masha Slamovich, the TNA Women's Champion. Anyways, gimmick injury report time. Everyone's favorite. Again, it's kind of lame. I already seen some of these. Trey Miguel is out with a hernia still. This is a good one. Killer Kelly has an upper body injury. She's out too. Everything from the waist up. It's hurt.
He's a paraplegic, upper half.
Yes. Upper half. The upper half includes the head too, It's like you couldn't even just say any body part, and it's just nothing, just can't. No? Okay. And then Cardona, he's out too, but it's his lower back. So at least they specified where generally on the body it was. Lower back.
Yeah, probably having a flare from that time Kane chokeslammed him off the dock.
Yeah, things like that never fully heal, especially the feelings, So they do like this package for the X Division, showing like historically throughout the years all the X Division stuff from TNA, and then they make it look like, I guess, Leon Slater is watching this, and then you see a hand with a remote control come in off the side of the screen and turn it off, even though it was already done. But I see what they were trying to do. And it's Moose and the system. And they have a little chat with Leon. And Leon basically just says, I'm going to give you the fight of your life. You get me? But interestingly enough, he didn't say he promised I'm going to win. He said, I promise I'm going to give you the fight of your life. Foreshadowing or not, who knows? Do they even think like that? Do they even think of the Bret Hart, I won't say I'm winning if I'm not? Does it even go that far? Or is that just how they want to say it?
I'll say this, if he's figured that out at this point, he's well above a lot of his peers at that point. He knows that much.
Well, they let the kid live. And then Cardona, with his lower back injury, walks up and he's like, hey guys, Dark State jumped me, but this could happen to anybody. So I need help. And they laugh at him. And then, Hawkins or whatever his name is, Brian Myers, it's like he's like the last to leave, of course, so that Cardona can be like, hey bro, I need help, bro. And then he's like, and then just says nothing and walks away. So I'm like, okay, bro, see you at the podcast, bro. Like, will you talk then? Will you talk when we record the show? Like, what, why are they doing this?
Over under, we see Dark State jump the system. And that's what forces them to team with Cardona.
I'm sure it's going to happen. I don't know what they expect to get out of this though. Like you have a heel, you have almost the bottom guy in a heel faction. He would be higher than JDC if JDC weren't so damn entertaining. So that automatically pushes Myers to the absolute bottom. And that's not just because I don't like him. It's because that's just where he is. I'm sorry. Nobody can really debate that. So you're the bottom guy in a heel faction that no one has any reason to like because he's a cocksucker. Then, even if he's not a cocksucker in real life, on screen, we know that he's friends with Cardona and he's not even speaking to him on TV. Then you have Cardona, who's, I guess, a babyface, but spent most of his time in TNA as a douchey heel and even as a babyface in name only or by process of elimination, he's still a douche. And are we supposed to like, what are we supposed to feel if these guys do the, you know, we're back? Like, are we supposed, you think that's going to blow any roof off? The fact that these guys are like the Edgeheads reunited? Like, that's going to get the mildest of applause.
I think it's reaching for anything. I know. It's dumb.
All right. Well, next is Mance Warner versus Jake Something versus Burt Macklin for the International TNA Championship. I don't care. Thoughts?
I mean, it was an all right match.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, it was worse to get Steve Macklin over and establish him as champion.
It was a triple threat match. There's no rules in a triple threat match other than at least like no DQ, no count out.
Just so dumb. So dumb.
So Mance Warner, did he do anything? Like, this guy's crazy, you know. I don't remember, but
I don't remember anything memorable from this match that he did.
Oh. Okay. Well, Steve Macklin wins with the KIA to Mance Warner. Liz says Mance is odd. She's not wrong. I haven't seen one light beer since he's showed up in TNA. Order 4 has an impromptu meeting in the parking lot where Tasha takes over. Apparently she was in charge all along. And surprisingly, you know, did all this stuff to, you know, bring Order 4 together and manipulate them. Kind of like what you said. And also, that was my earliest thought in this whole angle was like, this isn't Tasha Steelz being meek and, you know, getting pushed around by Ali and stuff.
Yeah, wait. Yeah, she's doing something. Something's going on here.
Yeah. Well, apparently she was. It was all a master plan. It was all a master plan to Tasha Steelz to get Order 4 on the same page so they could be the greatest faction in TNA history. And then, you... Do you want to know something? Actually, the System is the greatest faction in TNA history. And even though this is like the mooseless version of the System, Like it's literally everybody except Moose. I don't know why he wouldn't be there because they were all just together, and he had no reason not to be. So there you go. They challenge they challenge Order 4 to a greatest faction in TNA history match next week. I guess it's on a poll, like probably maybe a like a plaque or something signifying a trophy. Maybe something can be up on a poll they can pull down to prove that they're the greatest TNA faction in history. And Tasha accepts on their behalf, even though Ali tries to talk his way out of it.
I think this could be a spot where we see Dark State show up, because that protects the system from taking the loss, and that helps Order 4 get back on the same page and be heels again, or even stronger heels.
Triple heel faction battle.
I'm assuming that the system would become babyface out of this, which is awkward. But what else can you do with them at this point? They've really cooled off over the year.
You're right. There's nothing else you can do. Well, I mean, you could just break them up. Well, I don't know. Look, it's not our job to do their show for them. We do that enough. For all I know, they never had a plan for Tasha Steelz to do this, and it wasn't until I pointed out how dumb it was that they decided to do it. Who knows? Like, for all I know, that happened. I don't know. All right, I'm excited about this. We see something that's like the following whatever has been paid for by whatever, fourth rope something. Like, what are you talking about? Then this guy walks out, and I'm like, hey, that's Mance Warner again. But then I was like, wait a minute, no, it isn't. It's somebody else. Oh my God. It's that guy. I don't know what he's allowed to be called now.
Realest guy in the room. How you doing?
Yeah. So he does like a sort of a NWO, sort of edited, sort of, one of these it's black and white, and it's edited, and he's saying stuff, and it sounds like stuff he would say, and he's making references to things, and he says, yeah, what do we got over here? He actually said that one. And then and he was making references to hey, if you're coming to New York, just check in. You got to check in. Yeah. This is easily the non-Moose highlight of the show. But all things considered, even just what Moose did was not enough to make it a true highlight. Because they have, to your point, is cooling off the system. Moose is trying to become the longest reigning TNA X Division champion in history, and I've never been less interested in what Moose is doing than I am right now at this point in time. So, and that may include going back to Ring of Honor. So, I definitely was happy to see. What does he call himself? Real One is like his social media handle, but like, what was he calling himself? Not Enzo.
I know, like something like Fourth Rope Promotions or something like that.
Well, that was like something, but he's not gonna be named Fourth Rope, right?
No, I think he does go by Real One.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I'm glad to see him back in this. Wrestling needs this guy. I don't care if he's annoying. I don't care if he's difficult. He was called the Real One at MLW. Okay, thank you. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just need entertainment. So put this guy on television. It's not difficult. Your thoughts? I don't know if we've ever talked about Enzo before.
I was thrilled to see him. I popped and I'm like, is that? Oh shit, that's Enzo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at first glance, he does look undistinct enough. Like, he definitely looks like something, but not in wrestling. Like, on the streets, he would look a little different, but in wrestling, there's a bunch of guys that fit this profile of having a beard and the carrot haircut and a bunch of tattoos and being small. So, and he had a belt.
Yeah, he threw off the bell count for the show.
So, yeah. All right, well, I guess we'll see what's up with that. Santana gets this sort of vignette slash package slash highlight reel slash profile slash whatever. Like, it's just all these things kind of in one. So we're getting more stories about Santana. This time specifically talking about his father that passed away, and sort of theming it around that, and like wanting to make his dad proud. So I don't want to shit on that part of it, but what'd you think of this new Santana package?
And I thought it was good. I mean, they're trying to do everything they can to make you get behind Santana and want to see him win. And obviously, he's got no problem using his real life, stories to help tell that story.
Right. So next we have Victoria Crawford, who comes out with Tessa Blanchard, who goes to the commentary desk, versus Indy Hartwell, who I have promised to carefully watch Indy Hartwell to see if she gets a thumbs up in this new, all on her own, independent, version. And, yeah. Well, before I say anything, I'd like to kick it over to you real quick.
It was just a rough match overall. And let's be nice and leave it there.
Okay. I'll be a little less nice. Now, Victoria's a buddy. And what I'm going to say is she's like, I could see whatever she was trying to do. I saw the psychology of what she was trying to do. But executing it sometimes is just a little gangly. Let's put it that way. A little hyper, a little spastic, a little out of control. So I can see how that'd be difficult. But that's what you get. This is what we were talking about earlier with Goldberg too. You're just not doing it. You're out of wrestling for a while. You're not doing it. You get back into it. It's going to take a little bit of time.
That's what they talk about. They say you need to shake off that ring rust, get some time in the ring, build those calluses back up, kind of get your cardio back, get that rhythm back.
Mm-hmm. And you understand the history. Like, when I met her, no wrestling experience. Zero. So like, I'm doing on the, in her training, I'm doing training within the training. Like, I'm showing her stuff, this is a wrist lock. This is a headlock. Do it like this, we're all just supposed to be just doing this, but like, I'm having to show her these things, like, personally, individually. Like, yes, this happened. I was helping train Victoria when she first came to OVW. Yes.
I can actually, because of I'm picturing my own training. I'm picturing you just doing that, like teaching the head, like, okay, and then you go from here into a waist lock, or you go from here into a top wrist lock.
Right. And even back then, and I loved her. She was awesome. She's a great human being, great person, lovely person, one of the nicest people I ever met. Nothing but nice things to say about her. And it's because of her situation that I understand. Like, I get that you were, you know, you were picked off of modeling photos and just, yeah, be a wrestler.
Get the
These
right
weren't
and
even
fight.
like these weren't even like the Diva Search people. Like her and Barbie, aka Kelly Kelly, they showed up at the same time. I don't know if they knew each other before, but they seemed to be friends at least due to the fact that, well, shit, we're both in this situation now, right? So when
I
they come through those doors with zero training, it's up to us, to take care of them.
and shout out to you for understanding that and being good to him.
So now, um, they get, they get called up, or Barbie gets called up right away because she's a white blonde. So what do you think? Johnny Ace is going to leave her in Kentucky? Fuck that.
But
So
Vince has a type.
yeah. Meanwhile, Victoria stays a couple extra months. Go figure. And then, when she eventually goes up, that was the Divas era. They just get thrown right into it. They're not getting trained like Fit Finley's doing on the job training with them. But it's hard. It's hard when you Fit has other things to do and other women to teach. So you can't, like, they were never going, Kelly and Alicia Fox were never going to be like polished workers just due to even if they wanted to be. They would have had to dedicate time they didn't have to training to be something like that. So
it was literal on the job training. They never had a chance to actually get those reps in other than just being on TV.
Right.
Or the house shows.
Right. And so I get it. So like all that stuff, and then the road life and all this, and Victoria's problems later on, famously documented, so like I understand how things like that happen, even if, like I could never let something like that happen to myself, but I see what happens with other people. So I get it. And we understand why things are the way they are. So now when I'm looking at this match, I'm like, okay, I get it. But here's the thing. The one thing in this match that mattered was, I don't think, was her fault. Because what happens is she goes for the axe kick. Okay? And based on the way everything played out in this match, I assume the finish was supposed to be miss the axe kick and, Indy gets a comeback or whatever. Right? So Indy's selling. Victoria goes for the axe kick, looking like she's not trying to hit it, looking like she's expecting to miss, right? Because Indy's going to move. Indy moves out of the way of the axe kick, like she slides backwards. Because I think that's the spot. She's supposed to slide. But instead of getting up, she just sits there on her hands and knees, waiting for Victoria to come back and pick her up. So she kayfabes the axe kick. Then Victoria sells her hamstring, like, ow, I pulled my hamstring missing that axe kick. Then she goes over to Indy. Indy just bows up on her, hits the big boot, and pins her 1, 2, 3. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, I'd put the blame on Indy on that one, it sounds like.
Yes. Yes. I don't know what the hell was going on there. I don't know what instinct you would have had to have things play out like that. This is why I was talking about, like, when she's cutting this promo talking about her dreams taken away and all this stuff. Like, I know she's just doing what she's supposed to do, but like, There's a reason why they don't keep people when they don't keep people sometimes.
That's some bad work there, pal.
I don't know, man. You can say whatever you want to about Victoria Crawford and her in-ring acumen, but for that spot at least, I mean, she played it the way I guess you had to play it if somebody messed up the spot. It was awkward, and it could have been edited even worse. Like, I don't know what it might have looked like to the live audience because it's a taped show. But Todd says Evolution is the best show of the weekend. What do you think? Did you watch any of it?
I caught probably about the last hour, maybe the last hour and a half. I thought it
Oh,
was
so
pretty
the
good show.
one match in the main event? That match went quite a while. They definitely got time.
But yeah, for what I saw, I thought it was a pretty great show. And I think, especially with the surprise of Naomi cashing in.
Yep. Well, my fear was that if I don't know if you remember or watched the first Evolution, but they clearly just like that was an afterthought to everybody. The only reason that it was anything was for PR purposes, so they tried to like promote it a little bit. But everything from the lighting of the show to the booking of the show to the, everything, it just was like you could tell that WWE did not care at all. And that's the Vince era. So my only concern was that this Evolution coming up would be, hey, this needs to be on the level of everything else you do, just all women. And in my opinion, it was.
Agreed. I think they like every other show this weekend, I felt like they recognized that we're getting overcrowded. We need to do what we can to stand out and put on the best show that we can.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the deal there with that match. Pretty sure Indy fucked it up, but maybe not. Maybe something else happened. Who knows? Hard to tell. These things do happen. You can't hit a home run every time out. No one has 1,000 batting average. So, after the finish, Tessa Blanchard gets on the mic and just berates Indy Hartwell from the ring. And Indy just stands there and takes it. And nothing happens. Now remember, these guys got pulled apart last week in 2 segments. And now, Indy Hartwell, fresh off a match with her adrenaline pumping and everything, and Tessa Blanchard just standing there within 20 feet of her talking shit. And she just stands there like, okay. And then that's it. Now, you guys, you know me, right? I'm the first person to say, stop with all this extracurricular fighting and everything, right? Like, we get enough. I said that last week about the pull apart. But that's the problem. The consistency is more important than anything else. If you pulled apart these women last week, then you can't just have her do nothing this week.
And also, too, you didn't have to do a pull apart. You could have had Indy run in. She goes after Tessa, starts, laying the shots on her, and then Victoria comes in to make it a 2-on-1. They leave her laying and walk out.
Yeah. That too. Anything but this. Now, if they didn't have a pull apart last week, and Tessa gets on the mic and talks a bunch of shit, and Indy does nothing, then you're like, well, I guess Indy's the type of person that just settles her business when the money's on the line. And that's fine. That's what a professional would do. A professional wouldn't get in childish scraps every opportunity they get. That's what makes pro wrestling look so bush league. Everybody looks like they have the maturity, emotional maturity of a kindergartner. Because the insults that get hurled at people sometimes are not worthy of actually, getting into a dust up. So anyway, That being said, Eric Young confronts Santino in front of his daughter. And the big revelation here, even to the commentators, Tom and Matt, where Eric Young admits here that way back when he was actually Super Eric. That's how he knows that Hometown Man is Cody Deaner. He's like, I've done this trick before myself.
I will say the old school TNA fan in me did kind of pop at this, like, hey, they actually called that back and paid it off.
Yeah.
And used it to help a current angle.
Mm-hmm. Well, Santino's going to need proof. So if he doesn't get that proof, then he can't fire Hometown Man and Cody Deaner.
Unfortunately, this just entered Mr. America territory.
Yeah, I don't understand. Did Hometown Man get a contract? And if he did, why didn't you re-sign Cody Deaner? Anyway, don't think about it too much. Let's think about Tom sitting down with Joe Hendry. Now, I thought this Joe Hendry interview, I thought everything was fine in it. But there's one problem. It had music underneath. And I don't like it when there's music. I don't like added music to stuff. If you want me to sit here and take Joe Hendry seriously, this is an interview. They're talking. Joe's talking. I'm listening. I'm intently listening to what he's saying. He's talking about, how important the TNA Championship is and all the stuff that you would say in this situation. And they're playing this generic music because they think I can't pay attention to a man talking. You want me to be convinced that this guy's over. You want me to be convinced that this guy is the best thing for TNA. You want me to be convinced that he's a social media presence. You want me to believe in this man, literally and gimmickly. And you don't trust me to just listen to him talk without playing fucking music under it. Just cut this shit out. What's so hard about that? You're doing extra work to make it bad. You had to at least find this generic royalty-free music to play. Even though that might have been easy, it's still more effort than zero effort. Just shoot it. That's it. It was good. Like, I liked this part, but I don't know.
Yeah, I do think the music did take away from it. It would have been made so much more if there was no music. You just had Joe just open and raw without just anything taken away from that.
Yeah, like when they do the thing with Santana, that's edited. Like
right,
pre-recorded montage, right?
Gonna need a montage.
Yep. Seems like more time has passed in a montage. Yeah. Yes. In a pre-recorded package. Yes. Okay, if you want to put some music under it, pump everybody up. Yes, that's how that works. It'd be weird to see a montage without music.
A sit-down interview, that's a little different.
Yeah, you don't need music, but they're doing that. And they're doing this in NXT. And that's probably a reason why we're trying to keep this thing uniform. I don't like it in NXT, but I'll talk about that. I'll talk about all that shit on the Next Level Wrestling review. But I'm saying it's corny. So I don't like it. And no, Jerome, it wasn't smooth jazz exactly. I don't know what it was because it's forgettable because it doesn't matter because it's unnecessary. All right, so Trick Williams goes to the commentary desk for the main event, which is the Zigglers and and
I think
it
it
was
was
an
Ziggler.
all-star 8-man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ziggler's and somebody versus.
Oh, First Class versus Hardy's and Wentz and Myron Reed.
That's right. I wrote down FC here, and I couldn't remember what that stood for. FC Zigglers versus Hardy and Rascals. Okay. Um. So this is what it is. But there's Trick hits Matt Hardy with a belt when he hits the ropes, and I the this was also edited heavily, so it was a little bit confusing to follow. I had to rewind it and rewatch it. I believe because they definitely did not get a good shot of it, but I believe that AJ Francis hit the fat guy crossbody on Matt to beat him after the belt shot. It wasn't. It definitely was not the money, the down payment. It was the fat guy crossbody or something. He flew at him sideways, and that's what got the pin. So not his normal finish, but it didn't matter because the belt shot was what was supposed to be like the heat here.
Which I'm wondering, does that mean, are we kind of telegraphing a little bit? Is First Class going to go over for the belts in the 4-way to give their faction with Trick Williams some juice?
Yes. Yes, they do. But then again, like, what do you want to do with Trick in the title?
Oh, that's kind of a tough question. There's a lot of different ways you can go with that. Question is figuring out which one's best for business, and does the best business.
Maybe TNA knows at this point where they're at with Santana, because I feel like I'm being force-fed Santana. Not gonna lie, do you feel like that?
A little bit.
Okay. I mean, it's okay if you don't, but I'm just saying personally, I feel like you really want to give me this spoonful of Santana here.
Well, I should say, like, there was something that's kind of like noticing that's kind of like a little bit off. Then when you mentioned it's a little bit being spoon fed and pushed, that's kind of okay. That's what it is. Yep.
That's what it is. Not as bad as other people have in the past. But I'm not sure if people are just, I don't know how much they really buy Santana. I'm literally saying I don't know. I'm not saying it in a way like, I don't think they buy Santana. I'm saying I'm not sure. I can't ask every individual person. I know he's got his fans, and he's definitely a way to go. Now, if you do it at Slammiversary, but then you put the belts on First Class, is that fine to be independent of Trick Williams? Like, if Trick does not ever come back into the picture with these guys, is that fine? Or might they want to continue to extend the Trick Williams thing to Bound for Glory, which would be my guess if they don't do it at Slammiversary, if they don't pull the trigger, but they give Santana a singles match at Bound for Glory rather than sharing the spotlight here. You could have it be like, well, you and Joe Hendry's overzealousness for trying to be the guy in TNA has cost both of you, and Trick Williams is still the guy in TNA now because of your foolishness, right? Like, that's a story you could tell. If you do that, then First Class, you can get some mileage with the TNA tag team titles and Trick and everything like that. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And then you could have Joe Hendry and Santana kind of, having their own little rivalry over them, blaming each other for what happened, and eventually number one contenders match. Santana goes over, or something happens and Santana ends up facing Trick Williams and Bound for Glory, and then he takes the belt.
Something like that.
At this point, it's kind of a foregone conclusion. Once Hendry's contract is up, he's going to the WWE.
Which doesn't necessarily mean you get to escape going to TNA.
No.
Yeah. And wrestling has still not gotten out of this antiquated idea of like, well, you got to do business on the way out. Because now the way out is just a lateral move. It's no longer like, well, you're not going to be seen in this territory anymore, so it's okay for you to lose. Now you're like, you're beating people on their way out on a call up. Like, we're calling you up because we think you're ready for bigger things, but we're going to beat you right before that. And everybody's going to see it. So now we just called up a loser. Like, we've got to stop that. We got to start putting people over on their way out so that they come in hot. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that actually makes way more sense.
Yeah, I understand if like you're washing your hands of them completely. You know, if you're sending somebody to AEW, anybody in these three companies or these three promotions or whatever brands should, you know, yeah, do a job. Haha, here you are, damaged goods. Enjoy Josh Alexander, you know, like that kind of stuff. But if you know, if you got plans for somebody, got plans for Joe Hendry, you got to be strong, you know, so that he comes in making more of a splash. It's not about the people that don't watch. It's about the people that do. Like, yeah, there's going to be people that don't care about the lesser shows and don't watch them, and they only watch the main shows, and then they won't see those losses and stuff. But it's not about that. You always have to think of the most critical people in mind, because if you could please them, you could please everybody else. You know, if you're just, you know, like to the point about being spoon-fed Santana, like if you're the type of person that's just going to accept Mike Santana as a TNA champion or a main eventer or something like that, or if you're a fan of his and you just like him and you're going to go along with whatever TNA does, I don't need to worry about you. I need to worry about guys like me who are saying, I think I'm being spoon-fed Santana. You have to convince me that I should love Mike Santana. You have to book to people like me, because you don't have to worry about the casuals and the everydays. You know, you got to worry about the critics, the hardcores, you know, in that sense. You don't have to worry about them about everything, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of giving them ammunition to complain, don't give people reasons to complain. Just for the rest of the show, and then I'll get your final thoughts. So, on that note, Santana does a run-in because, you know, the heels are sore winners. So Santana does a run-in, and then he gets beat down. Then Joe Hendry runs down, and then he does an accidental punch to Santana because he's aiming for whoever, I forget now, and he maybe is, you know, KC or somebody, I don't know. He throws a punch, the guy ducks, he punches, or no, it was AJ shoves Mike Santana into Joe Hendry's back.
And
Joe Hendry turns around.
Yeah, he thinks somebody's attacking him. He just wildly swings from behind, and he realizes he clocked Mike, and like, oh shit.
Yeah. No, he does actually have time to see that it's Santana, and he throws the punch, which I do think is kind of good, because then it puts the seed of doubt in your mind. Like, well, could he have not punched him right there? Or did he just do it anyway? Like, it's enough of it. The reasonable doubt is there now. So it's like, he could have stopped, but did he know? Which is fine. But then these guys have to get pulled apart. Of all the things that TNA does, they do this shit way too much. But this one, how they did it, I thought it looked better than the way they normally do it, because of what I just said. And also, like, when security was like, or not security, this time it was like the other baby faces. It was the Hardys, like, hey guys, don't fight. You know what I mean? Like, come on, it was an accident, whatever. So they're holding them back, like, come on guys, don't do it. And they're just yelling at each other. and you can't really tell what they're saying that necessarily, but you can see that they're like upset, but it's not over the top wrestling phony like a lot of these things are. It just looked like a real misunderstanding, and they go off the air like that, and I thought that was fine.
Yeah, and like you mentioned too, like having the Hardys in there was perfect to have them separating because like both Hendry and Santana would respect him and not,
Yeah, you're not going to start beating them up like random security. Like, yeah. Yeah, so you had Rascals and Hardys doing the job of the pull apart, which makes more sense. And of course, the heels powder because they're like, heh heh.
Yeah, we did our job. We won, and you guys are fighting amongst each other. We're good.
Yeah, so all things considered, didn't mind the ending. Um, Trick is awesome still. Uh, those are some highlights. So this sort of ending here, everything else was kind of meh or bad, but this ending here was good, and seeing the real one show up with the vignette was really good. That was a highlight. And Moose was on the show, even though he didn't do anything amazing, but at least he was there, unlike some weeks when he's completely not on the show. So, those are the positive points. And yeah, any final thoughts?
I mean, I liked the Order 4 stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's a good, lower card storyline. That's been at least. I mean, the speed of the progression has varied from week to week, but at least it's moving forward week to week.
That's true. Yeah, we could have done things. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you could do speed wise. It could have been better. Could have been worse. But overall, it's something for, like you said, something for the non-main event picture.
Right, and I liked the swerve of this past week that turns out Tasha was playing everybody, trying to like bring in an outside threat to unite everybody and kind of light a fire under their asses.
Right. So some good things here. We got one more before Slamversary, right?
Yep, that'll be this Thursday.
So Slamversary is Friday or Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. Well, at least it's the only thing that weekend, right?
Yep. So they're getting lucky on that, having the weekend of themselves.
Well, they need it because they definitely would have got ignored this weekend.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that is that. It's time for us to take it home. So, Brandon, where can the people find you this week leading up to Slammiversary?
Well, as always, you can catch me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X at LG Brandon Whoop. I am also on Twitch at twitch.tv/LG Brandon Whoop Whoop. And the schedule for the rest of this week, we got tomorrow night, we got the late start NXT watch along that airs right after the A show is finished. And then Wednesday, we got the Dynamite watch along and belt counts. And then Thursday, we got Impact watch along and belt count. Friday, SmackDown watch along and belt count. Saturday, we're doing HMG After Dark. I'm thinking of doing Mallrats and maybe pairing that with another movie that's kind of, I feel, is underrated from the 90s called Angus.
Oh, Angus.
Screw them.
I haven't seen that movie, and I don't know if I've ever watched the whole thing front to back.
And of course, Sunday too, the TNA Slammiversary watch along.
Slammiversary watch along. All right. Well, please look forward to that, and then join us in 1 week here for the Impact Attack, where we talk about Slammiversary and the other stuff. As for me, you can find me at Opinion Hammer on all your favorite social media platforms. You can catch me every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for the Next Level Wrestling Review with Big Ray Hernandez. We'll talk about the Great American Bash and NXT. You can find me every Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for Wreckage, where we talk about AEW and all of its goings on there. Some all-in Fallout probably we'll talk about, even though we talked about we covered the show But now we may talk more in depth about some of the things coming out of the show. We'll see. Um, Wrestling with Rogers every Friday. Stevie Rich Show every Friday. We got Limpin' Ain't Easy every Wednesday. So please check out all those shows. Don't forget Stevie Rich's bonus show. Um, and potentially guest appearance on Smack Attack this Saturday. So look out for me there. Let's see. And in a little bit, I will also be jumping on Twitch to play a little bit of Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact, which just released a few hours ago. So we'll just fool around with that for a little bit, just to hang out and just some chit chat going. And then I'll probably play more of it tomorrow morning after the I Like It Raw. So instead of $2 Tuesdays, it'll be two, three, 3v3 Tuesdays. I don't know whatever. Just hang out. All right. So that'll do it. If there's nothing else, then Brandon, I'm sure you're going right back to the Raw watch along here shortly.
Yep, probably about 10 minutes. Go and pick back up with Raw, about 10-15, somewhere around there.
Okay. Well, if I jump on and actually compete with you, I apologize, but maybe you guys could just keep multiple tabs open, whatever you want to do, or wait for the Raw thing and then jump over to my thing, whatever you want to do. I'm not going right away, so he'll probably be on before me, but join somebody, and we'll tuck you in. And for Brandon, I'm the vet, and I don't have a sign-off line.